Sometimes you believe you have done everything right. You pray, you work, you are patient, but somehow that door never opens. That person doesn't return. That opportunity never materializes. That blessing never reaches you. And then this sentence escapes from within. Why isn't my provision coming? But it is precisely here that deep spiritual wisdom reveals a profound truth. What the divine does not give you is not to diminish you. Sometimes not giving is also protection, because a heart that is not yet ready cannot hold what is given. It will crush it. The delay of your provision is not its absence. In fact, that provision has already been written, but it is still waiting for its time. Because the divine sends every blessing with a timing, and it wants you to become the kind of person who can carry that blessing. Just as a fruit must ripen, so the soil must be prepared first. And the soil of your readiness is your heart. According to spiritual understanding, every provision seeks a capacity, a receiver. Unless the divine qualities within you reach the level to call forth this provision, that provision could even harm you. For example, an impatient marriage brings you not peace, but fire. A position gained before you're ready brings you not compassion, but arrogance. Nothing that comes before its time is truly your prayer. It is your ego's insistence. But the divine answers not your ego's demands, but your heart's true prayer. And every prayer is only truly received when you are ready. Because real prayer is not only spoken with words, it is lived through your state of being. Here, a truth emerges. You want something, but you are still not prepared. The delay of your provision is sometimes not your error. But what you grieve over, thinking it is your loss, is actually the divine protecting you. According to spiritual wisdom, every blessing comes with a test, and you must be ready not only for the blessing, but for the trial that comes with it. What you seek may be beautiful, but if you are not strong enough to carry it, or if the divine does not wish you to destroy that beauty with it, then not giving is also a mercy, because the divine protects you not only through what it gives, but also through what it withholds from you. Your heart sometimes asks for something, but your guide says, wait, because you cannot yet see what your guide sees, and know that the divine does not delay. You act too soon. Everything has its time, and what is meant for you is like a servant. It does not come before its master calls it. It does not knock on your door without permission. But what if you have not yet reached that time? Here, spiritual wisdom opens another profound door. A person is tested not by what they receive, but by how they transform through that waiting. Your provision is not merely an object, it is a mission. And when that mission finds you, you will no longer be who you were before, because when your provision arrives, it splits your life into two, before and after. And the divine does not give that provision to a heart that is not ready for that transformation. Do you know why your provision hasn't come? Because your prayers are still caught in words, but the divine is listening for your state of being. Perhaps what is written for you will come, but because you are not yet ready for it, it has not yet arrived. According to spiritual understanding, the divine calls the names within you. But if you do not yet carry that name, the call remains suspended in the air. Unless the divine qualities within you have risen to the level where they can call forth your provision, that provision will not find you, because provision descends according to your inner spiritual qualities. Unless the qualities of compassion within you grow, a kind person will not find you. Unless wisdom within you shines, a wise companion will not appear. If you still do not know the divine qualities within yourself, how will you recognize the provision that comes from those qualities? This is why you must first ask yourself, I want my provision. But does my provision want me? If it doesn't, what is the reason? Perhaps you are still not at the right frequency. Perhaps the divine is still preparing you. Not just the provision, but your inner world is being rebuilt until one day you stand ready before that door and it opens from within. Think about it now. You want something. You want it so much, but it simply will not happen. Your heart is weary. Your prayer is impatient. At this very point, spiritual wisdom points to another striking truth. The servant is occupied with their prayer, but the divine is occupied with your transformation. That is, you wait for the answer to your prayer. The divine, meanwhile, watches your journey of change. So let us ask, what have you become in this waiting? Are you still impatient, still complaining, still comparing yourself to others? Or do you carry a heart renewed by patience and trust? Because real provision is not born as an external reality. It is born as an inner state. When you say provision hasn't come, you are actually saying you cannot yet see what has already arrived. According to spiritual understanding, provision is not always an obvious blessing. Sometimes it is hidden in what feels like absence, because the divine teaches its servant through lack. And when you say it hasn't come, perhaps it has already arrived, but your eyes are not yet open enough to recognize it. Spiritual wisdom says, before the eyes of your heart open, the mercy that arrives appears to you as cruelty. So the issue is not the delay of your provision. The real issue is the blindness in your perception. Now, I ask you, is what you seek necessary only for your happiness, or is it a bridge that will draw you closer to the divine? Because the divine looks not only at the heart, but at the intention. And when intention becomes clouded, provision withdraws. You may have loved someone, but if your intention was not to witness them before the divine, that love becomes a test rather than a blessing. You may have taken a job, but if that job takes you away from the divine, you are given not the job, but a mirror of your own ego. This is why spiritual wisdom speaks of provision in terms of two different doors: mercy-based provision and ego-based provision. The merciful provision elevates you. The ego-based provision consumes you. The merciful provision dignifies you. The ego-based provision exhausts you. And the divine withdraws the ego-based provision so that it can prepare you for the merciful one. But you think it hasn't come. Yet that provision has only been postponed to protect your heart. Because the divine loves you more than you love yourself, and this love sometimes manifests not as giving, but as withholding. Just as a mother does not give her child hot soup before blowing on it to cool it, the divine, so that harm does not come to your soul, makes you wait patiently for your provision. This is why spiritual wisdom teaches, the divine sometimes makes a servant needy, but first teaches them how to carry that need. Your sought provision perhaps does not come immediately, because the real issue is not whether the provision arrives. The real issue is that you do not destroy it when it does arrive. Consider this. When something you very much wanted did not happen, what happened afterward? Either something more beautiful came, or you realized how small that desire actually was. Because the divine's every no is a secret of protection. If something seemed beautiful to your heart, but the divine turned it away, know that on its invisible side lies a sharpness that would wound you. The delay of your provision is not for you. It is within you. Because sometimes the immediate arrival of your provision would disturb your current state. You think you are ready, but you are still leaning on your ego. You think you are patient, but at the first difficulty, you grow resentful. In such a state, would the divine give? If it did, you could not carry it, and it would become a burden, and this time you would complain. Why did it come? This is why the divine gives abundantly, but first purifies you from within. Let us look at a lesser-known wisdom. Some provisions are written at the moment you ask for them, but that writing does not open until your soul becomes worthy of it. What does this mean? Right now you are asking. Your request is being recorded in the spiritual realms. But the answer to that request reaches you only when your inner state vibrates at the same frequency as that answer. Because the divine looks not only at what you desire, but how you desire it. Sometimes your tongue wants something, but your heart is still full of fears. In such a state, the provision that arrives will scatter you. This is why it does not come. But it is not coming because it is being prepared to match your state. As you change your state, it draws closer to you. Look now, pay close attention. Perhaps the person you have been waiting for is being shaped according to your patience, being educated according to your character. Their soul is growing through your prayer, and the divine is not giving you that person. The divine is preparing them for you. Yet you still say it hasn't happened. But your prayer has been answered, but the timing is not yet right for it to reach you. According to deep wisdom, the divine does not accept your prayer when you first speak it, but when you begin to embody it. That is, your real provision is not just something that comes to you from outside. It is a light that emerges from within you. And everything that follows that light gains meaning. This is why at the moment when it seems your provision has not come, ask yourself, have I made peace with what the divine has decided for me? If you have, know that your acceptance itself is already part of what is coming. And as you accept, what is meant for you will seek you out. Because provision comes not to those who seek it, but to those who surrender. Let us go deeper still. One interpretation of spiritual wisdom says this: beside every person stands a witness from the spiritual realms. This witness records every impulse of your intention, every movement of your heart, every feeling, and presents it to the divine without you needing to speak a prayer. That is, you are always praying, not just when you speak prayers. If you are afraid, you send fear into the universe. If you doubt, you push mercy away from yourself. But if you trust completely, if you carry a faith that believes before it becomes real, then mercy runs towards you. Because the divine immediately opens its mercy to those who truly trust it. When you say provision hasn't come, perhaps you still do not trust yourself. Perhaps you still cannot believe that the divine desires the very best for you. But a moment arrives, a moment comes, when you release the desire for something, and in that very moment, your provision quietly knocks on your door, because now you are ready, because now you are worthy of carrying it. Spiritual wisdom makes the final point. The divine tests a person not when it gives, but when the person stops asking, and one who passes this test no longer rejoices with their provision, but with their divine connection. And in that moment, everything that comes into your life becomes a face of mercy. Let us ask the question again. Why hasn't your provision come? Now you feel the answer in your heart. Your provision arrives when an inner light within you opens to the outer world. And if that light is not yet ready to be born, you think you are waiting. But actually, birth is being prepared. According to spiritual wisdom, what your guide desires for you is greater than what you desire for yourself. This is why the divine sometimes blocks what you want, because it is weaving a greater plan with you. You offer a prayer, but instead of an answer, it sends a life. That life shapes you with patience, purifies your interior, and then at exactly the right moment, you realize that what you sought was never really necessary for you, because you understand that what you were seeking was not outside you. It was always hidden in the depths of your inner world. And at that moment, the divine sign appears, a door opens, a provision arrives. But now, you do not cling to it as you once would have, because you have become a state of such completeness that you no longer need to grasp. And that state is the highest form of real provision. Now you do not ask, yet everything finds you. Do you remember? Has there ever been a time in your life when you thought, I no longer want that thing, but it came anyway? This is when your ego fell silent and your spirit began to show itself. And at the moment, something arrives without the ego's grasp. It comes with you, not just to you. Look, most people misunderstand the relationship between provision and destiny. They think, if it is written, it will come. If it is not written, it will not come. But according to deeper wisdom, destiny is a reflection of your divine writing shown to you. But this reflection is not visible until the mirror is cleaned. That is, your provision may be written, but if you continuously cloud that mirror with worldly desires, you will not see it. And what you do not see, you believe does not exist. The divine never leaves a person empty, but a person often feels empty because they try to fill that emptiness with worldly desires, whereas that emptiness is filled only by what the divine has ordained, and when that time comes, all pieces fall into place, and you say, I'm so glad it didn't happen. I'm so glad it didn't come. I'm so glad I waited. This is the truth of a real prayer. Now pay very close attention. A rarely known wisdom from spiritual teaching says, one who knows the highest divine truths does not know the answer to every prayer, but can understand which prayers remain unanswered. What does this mean? Sometimes what comes from your lips carries a meaning of silence in the presence of the divine, because the divine first sends a silence into your heart, and in that silent state, the only intention that rises from within you is this: my divine, what you know is enough for me. This surrender is the golden key that opens the door to your provision. Have you ever thought, why does provision sometimes slip away just when it is in your hands? Here is where it becomes very deep, because the divine sometimes takes from your own hands what you have obtained, so that you do not become arrogant when you have it, and do not break when you lose it, because it tests whether you can carry it. If you lose yourself when it leaves, then you were enslaved to it. But if your inner peace remains unshaken even when it departs, then you have remained connected to the divine. This distinction determines whether your provision will be lasting or temporary. Let us give an example. A woman waited years for marriage and finally achieved it. But within just a few months, everything began to fall apart. She said, I prayed so much to the divine. Is this the answer to my prayer? But the real answer was this. You asked only for marriage, but you did not build a heart capable of carrying that marriage. Without building that heart, everything that comes remains only on paper. This is why the timing of your provision is adjusted according to your inner state. And sometimes that provision waits for you to be broken, because only when you are broken do you become willing to be truly rebuilt. So ask yourself, am I simple enough to carry what comes to me? Do I still need my ego's approval? Have I gained the inner vision to truly recognize what is given to me? Spiritual wisdom teaches, if a person does not recognize the blessing given to them, that blessing becomes their enemy. This is why some provisions arrive as mercy, but turn into hardship. Because what is taken without recognition usually cannot be carried. What you must do now is not ask why it hasn't come, but hold up a mirror to yourself. If it came, could I carry it? Am I still dependent on my ego's judgment? Have I become inwardly mature enough to receive it? Because the divine does not delay to punish. It delays to protect. And that protection will one day bring you to such a place that what you receive meets the divine quality within you, and then you will no longer need to pray. Your provision is arriving. But it is arriving in the form of the person you are becoming.